So the last thing I want to show you is about the sleeve. Many of you said that you wanted to lengthen the sleeve on this. I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this arm side on my bodice side front, and you would use the same for your bodice side back to change the curve on this sleeve pattern. If you already have a sleeve pattern of mine from another pattern, you can just copy it. This is the sleeve that I used for my Fantasia suit style. It goes just down above the elbow, and you can see that there's much more of a curve on here than there is on here. This edge was tightened up a little bit to tighten around that arm to keep your seams from showing. And the rule is that your sleeve should match your arm side from the notch down. You can see that this curve right here is different from this curve over here. So I'm going to put this underneath, match up my notches, and match up my grain line. So here's my grain. And there's my grain. And this is kind of a quick and dirty method of correcting this sleeve. So I'm going to curve this up and go ahead and make that trace off like that. So now these two match up. So up until the notch, they're both exactly the same. And I'm going to do the same over here. I don't have my center back, I don't have the back piece to show you, but it's going to look something like that. And I'm going to measure my arm. I'm going to use like 12 inches from the top here. There's my seam line. And 12 inches. I'm going to extend my grain. And if you didn't have a board, you'd want to do that so that I can match up the grid here and make sure that my hemline is going to be perpendicular. And then I'm going to go ahead and curve this just ever so slightly. And I want to make sure both sides match, so I'm going to fold this in half at center. And I'm going to follow that blue line so that both sides of my sleeve match. Then mark your seam allowance, seam allowance, seam allowance. Measure. This is 12 1/4 inches. Measure your arm. Do you need more width than that? If you do, then you can flare that out a little bit. But this is pretty much squared off. I would want somewhere between 1.5 to 2.5 inches of ease here for my arm to move. And that's how you would extend and lengthen your sleeve.